So this great train that has arcane energy sort of flowing through it, almost looks like pieces of lightning, comes up, and you see not really light in the Underdark, but you see like sort of like luminescence that sort of comes thanks to the lightning on this creature that's coming through, and until it pulls up onto the train station, and our Drugar sees it. A door opens up, and I assume that you get on. So you get on, and you leave. Have you really left the Drugar area much? All right, so the Drugar area is at the outskirts of the bubble. That was like part of the expansion, so where they built theirs after the first bubble expansion. That's where the Drugar located their place there. So it's really at the furthest a point away. The train flows through, and you go through the Great Drow City that you've heard of a lot. The Drow City has many stone structures and stuff. There are deep dragons everywhere. So lots of deep dragons. And there's Drow walking around, and you see the Great Drow Palace and the Great Drow Coliseum, but everything is massive in comparison. Probably for the first time in the young Drugar's life, he's never seen more than 50 to 100 people gathered in one place, and now everywhere you look, to the left and right, there are like hundreds of Drow. But to you, it seems like it's more than what it is. You go through tunnels, and eventually you go into this waterway that's filled with great water flowing through, and the train sort of hovers above it at the ceiling going through, and you can look down a couple hundred feet, and it's like this big pipe that's been burrowed through the ground. And eventually it comes through, and for the first time, there looks like a great torch at the end of this tunnel as it gets brighter and brighter, and you pierce through the torch. It's almost nerve-wracking. You almost feel like you're going into flame. And you burst through, and it's actually sunlight. You said you've never seen sunlight for the first time, so it's going to take a second for your eyes to adjust. And as it sort of phases out, you go look out through the windows, and you see green, a great expanse of green. Where this is, the conductor somehow speaks to you through little holes in the looks like little horns on the thing. Starts going through. It's like we've come to the wild plains. This used to be a great forest, but legend has it that it was blown apart and left fertile land for us to farm and till for the last 200 years. And we thank the Wild Heart for this as we flow forward through these great tracks. It feels like it's hours that you're on this train because it's just this grassland. You see little farms and stuff like that. Occasionally you see stuff in the sky, which is weird. But after time you notice there's boats. They look like boats. You have boats underneath, but the bottom of them looks like a boat. And you're like, why are they? But they're in the sky, flying around. So everything's sort of relaxful. The car above you, there's a lot of talking, commotion up top. As you get closer to your next stop, there's a couple of lights and stuff sort of flare, and you hear across the little horn through. It's like, our next stop is Ravenwood Forest. So you hear something talking about, we were just here yesterday, from a different voice, and it comes up and pulls up, and at this is a young man standing, waiting there. This is Mr. Dagon. Do you get onto the platform? So
I'm gonna hesitate for a second, but I'll get on.
Yeah. So the door's sitting there. Our Drugar that's on the ship sort of looks out, and you see these trees. They look like they should belong in the Underdark in a way. They don't glow though, but they're like almost like umbrellas type things. There's sort of different things, and there's some old woods and stuff like that. But it's a very different forest than what you're used to. None of it glows. They sort of sway in the wind. It goes through. You may sometimes looking, almost feel that there's faces, and lookings look back. So this is a place full of magic. The arcane fragments must be strong in here. So, are you still looking?
Yeah, I'll step on now.
So you step on. So you take a couple of steps on, and the door behind you closes. And it says, now departing through a little horn that's right above your head. It says, now departing, Ravenwood Forest. It goes through. You come in. You sit down. Your spirit is still with you, but only you can see it. It just goes through. So, and she sort of sits there and closes her eyes and takes almost like a deep breath, and she feels a little connection to the train. She says this uses this uses its own weave and connection, and it pulls it through. She can see the veins that's woven through that causes it to go, but she's like, it's not connected to anything, but it pulls stuff to it. So she's like, it's very odd. It's like roots, but they pull stuff out of the air. You see in the same there are two people in your cabin, or wherever this thing is that you're riding in. Of course, you've probably rode a train before. There is a metalish type being, or
it's the Steel Defender, just a large.
Yeah. So does the Steel Defender, is it thinner, or does it look like a Drugar?
No, it's very much just humanoid plated.
Okay, so it's like
taller than you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I didn't know if you made it.
I'd probably mistake it for like a man in armor.
Yes, like you probably definitely think it's like a man in armor, maybe a paladin. So then there's a person sitting next to him. Describe how you look.
Short, stocky, grayish skin, long white beard braided with copper.
Oh.
Heavy boots made of underdark stone. I have the hulking figure of my metal defender, and then beside me on the bench is a little clockwork praying mantis I made.
Now, do the Drugar come up a lot?
Very
common up here.
Very rare. Have you ever ventured to the Underdark? Did your dad ever take you? That's up to you. I'll let your call.
No.
All right. So your dad doesn't really like the people below very much.
So my dad's a racist. Okay, got it.
I didn't say that. I just said he doesn't like because there's a lot of things that form packs. You know, there's lots of packs and things formed down there.
Maybe I've heard him talk about it, but I've never been there.
Yeah, so they talk about Underdark.
I'm gonna, as politely as possible, stare at you.
Just stare.
Yeah, because I've never seen him.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, so you've never seen a bluish skin, because technically both the elves, the drow, and them sort of they're very similar in look. Skin, the shading and stuff like that. So, so you look. Do you perception on that, or what do you think?
I look up and say, "Father, what is that?"
So it's sort of imagine like how rock and metal sort of look over, and it looks over, and see the Steel Defenders.
They're not communicating.
No.
He just looks
yeah,
at me.
it sort of looks at him, and it sort of looks back. So and then it ends by staring. The Steel Defender staring back at you. Just. So do you continue?
Hello?
Pardon my rudeness. I imagine you're from the Underdark.
Yeah. What gave it away?
I've only heard stories.
Okay.
That's a fun conversation.
This is your father, you said?
This is my Steel Defender. I created him from my father's remains.
So your father's dead body is in the suit?
Yes.
Interesting.
This is my pet Morticia. I named it after my mother.
Roll history to see if you see if you've heard your father talk about artificers, what they use.
That's a 7.
Schooling was never your strong suit, nor about whatever your father said about the school, because he just went on and on and on about
I'm
stuff.
intelligent. I just don't like anything my father said.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, so you're just sort of shut down because like that's all he cared about was the school. So you were second. Oh, maybe not even second.
Petty my praying mantis. It's about the size of a large cat.
Oh, so
A large cat.
It's
That's a big thing.
That's not praying mantis. That is Magnus, Mega Magnus.
Mega Mantis.
So
I'm just gonna I'll put one finger down to gently touch it, and then I'll say, if I may.
So your fae
That's
has
your first mask layer.
your fae is coming out, come out and is looking at it, and looking at the mantis. It's like sort of reaching down at this.
I kind of pull her around the neck. It's like it's okay.
So you notice your mantis is not looking at him, but looking at something else, which is odd. You more like you think that where he done, but it's like looking over to the side.
What is it, Mom?
So in the little fae, the invisible fae, sort of waving at it, and it says, "I've never seen an animal like this." So it clicks when it moves. So she said, "I can also see the, the threads that hold it together." So and she sits there and she plucks one of the strings, and your clockwork is sort of like it's almost like recharged. You almost feel it almost recharged because you have to sort of charge them. So the question is, do you think that he recharged it since he's sort of the closest? Do you want to roll insight?
Damn. I forgot this was the middle dice. Yeah, it's a 1.
So you definitely don't think something else. So you definitely think that somehow he must be some type of magical being.
Okay.
Maybe he's an elf that you've heard about.
Oh, okay.
It's like as you've heard that they're stay youthful and that they're supposedly full of magic, the old ones.
Thank you for recharge. It's great.
I'm gonna pause and be confused for a minute, and then I'm like, "You're welcome."
So, your fae looks up and said, it's like, "Can you get one of these?" It's like,
Now, can I telepathically communicate with this thing,
Yeah.
or do I have to do it out loud?
Actually, no, you have to do it out loud.
Let's give it away.
So she sort of flows back to you. She said, "I must know more about these city animals or underdark animals."
I'm gonna say under my breath, very lightly, later.
So do you want to see if you heard him say that?
And to preface it, the character is it's pretty accurate. My whole face is covered. You can't see anything but my eyes.
Oh, we're doing perception?
Yeah, perception.
Where you at? Skills. Be a 14.
Stealth.
17.
Okay, so I'm gonna say you need to notice that his mouth moved, where he's got it covered.
I was just breathing hard.
Yeah, it's just it's like that's really inefficient breathing. It's like maybe he's sick or he's got his mouth covered or whatever.
Are you familiar with clockworks?
I'm not. I've never seen anything of this.
How did you know to give her power?
I did. It just happened.
Now there are clockworks all through the city, but it's like we'll get there, but not probably something that small.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never seen
There's
a
not-
mantis one.
There's not too many. probably I'm gonna say that creature is probably something from the Underdark.
Well, I imagine the clockworks you were talking about were like soldierish.
They're big, but there's also small ones too. But they're usually like little doll. They're like doll, but no one really does like animal type clockworks.
Yeah.
I gave her his soul. Don't ask me where I got it.
So and he believes that. So all right,
I'm gonna sit down after that.
just sit down.
I'm just gonna sit down across from you.
Again, like your Fae looks, you know, the Oak Princess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. She looks. It's like his claws are very sharp. It's like he could probably hunt very well. It's like could be a valuable ally. You know, it's like that type of female interests you.
I'm not gonna reply to that.
You know, she's not really been out in the forest for a long time. So I was like, She said, I like those strings. So the train goes on a little bit for a ways, and it takes a turn. And instead of going to the direct city, you see it coming, and the track is dividing up there. You could either go straight in the city, but it looks like it's going towards like this waterway. But at this point, you see a great stone castle. It's a huge stone castle. There's like a cliff face and this large castle. But then below it are these buildings. They don't look like they're made out of the same material as the castle. The castle's made out of great stones, large stones. But then these other buildings they're smooth and they might be metal. They don't seem like they're wood, but they don't look like rock or clay or mud. But they're built with smooth, and there's like shiny pieces of them as the sun hits it and stuff. That's like glass. But they're like 4 or 5 stories tall. So there's quite a few of them in the section that you see before you start coming in. Before you get close enough to really look, you sort of turn towards the waterway. And when you turn towards the waterway, you go down. In 200, 300 feet above, you see the great castle at the bottom base raising up. The train goes past the old dragon keep. And so it has the symbols of dragon heads on it as it veers through. And it goes here. It's like the train conductor with the little horn again says, "Here we pass, the dragon keep. The remains of the great Queen Ava are laid here as we remember that those who helped us endure the bubble have been placed here as we go through, and we're going to come down to the waterway." And